Welcome back to this tutorial. We will talk about font picker. So font picker helping you to add fonts inside your Shopify website, and it does use the Shopify font library. So this library includes system fonts and selection of Google fonts. So to add fonts into your website, we're going to use an input settings called font picker. So when using this font picker, of course, we're going to use the type. This is mandatory, the ID and the label. The default attribute here is mandatory, and the default is going to point to an existing font picker handle. So when accessing the value of a font picker, type settings, data is returned as a font object. So let's click on the font object, and when you access it, this is what you're going to have as a return object. So you have the baseline ratio, the fallback families, the family, the style, the system, the variants, and the weight. You can come here and play along with that if you want to learn more about how it works, but we're gonna see at least the basics here. So let's go back to our VS Code. Make sure that you're running your server, and to apply the font picker, we must add it inside the settings schema.json, because we cannot just come inside our layout theme.liquid and add a link from Google Font here as we usually do. So this you cannot do just like that. First, you must add it inside the settings schema, just like we did with the color scheme group. So let's do that. So we're gonna add an object here. And first of all, this object is gonna take a name and the settings. So first, let's give it a name. You can call it typography or font. That's really up to you. I'm gonna call mine typography, and then it's going to accept a settings, and this settings is just like we used to do. We can give it sidebar input and also input settings. And let's imagine we want to have a setup like this. We want to have a font for the header, and we want to have the font for the other HTML attributes such as the p tag, the span tag, the div tag, etc., or the button tag, for example. Or if you want, you can also have like a bunch of setups such as a settings for the heading, for the body, and even for the buttons. That's really up to you. But for me, what I'm going to do, we're gonna create first of all some sidebar input. I'm gonna call it headings, and just below I'm gonna give it a type of font picker. It must be font picker here, and the ID is going to be up to you. So I'm gonna call mine font headings, and I will give it some label, so we can say font headings or heading fonts. Is up to you. And we must give it a default, and to find how to add this handle default here, we must go to our documentation and click to Shopify fonts library. And once we are here, we must look for available font, this one, because you can also add different type of font if you want to, even to use custom font. It's not in the scope of this video. So yeah, so you must look for available fonts, and let's say I want to use, for example, this Allegria Sans. So I'm gonna click on more info, and here you have the handles. So let's say I want to use the Allegria Sans bold italic. So I will just copy the handle here, and I will go back to my settings here to the default, and I'm gonna paste it like this, and I will save it. So if I save it, I'm not gonna have any error. So if I go back to my customizer and I click here on theme settings, and if I reload, I'm going to have access to the typography we just created, and it's over here. The typography that we see here is the name that we gave to our settings. If you don't believe me, I can add S here just to show you. If I save it and I go reload the page, we're going to have the S appearing there. So if I open now we have the headings. That's the sidebar input we created here. All right, and this is our font, and is Allegria Sans bold italic, and I can choose any font I want here. So let's create another one for the body. I'm just gonna copy this one, so we have some information like this, and we're gonna call this one body, and I'm gonna create another settings. The type is going to be font picker as well, and the ID, it could be body font, and let's add a label. We can say font body, and we must have a default, and the default is going to be a handle of a font that we want to add as a default. So let me just copy this one for now so we don't waste any time. And if I save it and we go double check our customizer, we're going to have body and font body, and we have like these two font here. All right, so now how to access it. So very simple, we go back to our VS Code, and remember, when accessing data inside our settings schema.json, it's almost similar to what we used to do like over here. So we go with section.settings, but when you're accessing the settings schema.json, we just go directly with the settings dot the ID or the data of the ID. Just remember that. All right, so we must go to theme.liquid, and over here what we're going to do, we're going to create a style HTML tag, and let's say here I want to target all the headings. So let's go something like this, and over here I can say font family, and this font family is going to be settings.font heading. But before to continue, I want to show you something. Let me just comment this one. If we come just inside our theme liquid, I'm going to print what is inside our headings here, for example, our headings ID. So just to see how we can access the data more easily. Just below our header group, I'm going to print settings.font headings. So this is how you access it. And if I go back here, we have over here, we have font drop just on top of the input settings. We have font drop. So if I come back and I add a dot like this, now we're going to have access to the whole object I was showing you earlier. So as we want to access, for example, the font family, so I'm going to come on the family and choose family. If I save it and I go check, now we're going to have the font that we selected or we added as a default, which is Allegria Sans. All right, so we're going to use this approach. So I'm just going to copy this one, cut it, and I will come here and comment it, and we're just going to replace what we done over there. So it's going to be settings.font headings.family, and if I save it and we go check, we're going to see even the font changed over here. The font is now different. If I come back here, we can also access, for example, font weight, and it's going to be settings.font heading dot, now to access the other object, and we're gonna look for weight. All right, and you can come to add like more CSS here to play with it using like liquid, and we're gonna have the bold here added. Once you finish to add your font like this, let's go back to our VS Code. You can also add a fallback font in the case this font is not existing. So it's going to be the same syntax. You add a comma and you go double curly and you go settings, that's the same ID, which is in this case font headings, and that then you go for fallback families. So once you finish to add your fonts like this, you must go to settings data.json, this file here, and you must add the IDs that you created for this typography, or actually everything that you're creating inside the settings schema.json. Every input that you're creating here, you must collect their IDs and add it inside the settings data.json. So how to do that? We're just gonna come here, we're gonna grab the first ID inside our typography. So just copy that and go back to settings data.json. We're gonna add it like this, and we're gonna give it a default value if there is any. In this case we do have a default value, so I'm just gonna copy this default value and I'm gonna paste it right here. And I will go again because we have two IDs, so we copy the second IDs we have here and I will add it just below the first one, and because they have the same default, so we're just gonna also add it here, and that's it. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any question, you can ask on the comments or you can shoot me a direct message. If you liked this content, please subscribe to the channel, give me a like, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.